Great NFL teams are not made up by just their iconic players. The guys, making incredible plays and performing their hearts out during games. Teams are also made by the head coaches who motivate everyone on the team to greatness and glory throughout the regular season, the playoffs, and, for those rare few, the Super Bowl, with a chance to win it all. And, in some cases, some might argue that they're even more important than the players on the field. Either way, here at TPS, we're going to explore the Mount Rushmore of NFL head coaches and see who is worthy of that feat. So, without further ado, let's dive right into it. Arizona Cardinals, Bruce Arians, Ken Whisenhunt, Don Coryell, and Jimmy Conzelman. Conzelman was a brilliant motivator and strategist during his time, and he coached the Cardinals to win the 1947 NFL Championship. Coryell was instrumental in creating his Air Coryell offense, which of course helped the team win the division and reach the playoffs twice. Whisenhunt guided the Cardinals to their first Super Bowl appearance, and Arians helped make the Cardinals into a playoff contender in the 2010s. Atlanta Falcons, Mike Smith, Dan Quinn, Lehman Bennett, and Dan Reeves. Bennett developed a winning culture in Atlanta thanks to his strong defense, and he led the team to their first playoff appearance. Reeves led the franchise to their first Super Bowl appearance thanks to his competitive coaching style. Smith made the Falcons a very competitive team in the late 2000s and early 2010s, and Quinn's defensive mind resurrected the Falcons and brought the team to Super Bowl 51. Baltimore Ravens, Ted Marchibroda, Brian Billick, and John Harbaugh. Marchibroda was the Ravens' first head coach who coached Hall of Famers Jonathan Ogden and Ray Lewis in the 1990s. Billick took the reins in the late 90s and led the team to win Super Bowl 35 in dominating fashion. Harbaugh took over in 2008 and led the Ravens to win Super Bowl 47, and has kept the team as a strong playoff contender ever since. Buffalo Bills, Sean McDermott, Marv Levy, Wade Phillips, and Lou Saban. Saban was a strong motivator who brought discipline to the Bills, not to mention led the team to back-to-back AFL championships. Levy was a masterful leader for the Bills, as he led the franchise to 4 straight Super Bowls, even though they lost all of them. And McDermott, well, he helped resurrect the Bills from being a laughingstock and turning them into playoff contenders. Carolina Panthers, Ron Rivera, John Fox, Dom Capers, and Dave Canales. Capers was a great coach for the Panthers, as he made them a competitive team and led them to the 1997 NFC Championship game. Fox built a winning culture within the team and led them to their first Super Bowl appearance. Rivera made the Panthers into a playoff contender and got the team to reach Super Bowl 50. And Canales' time in Carolina may have just started, but he's shown that he's doing a good enough job improving Bryce Young's performance. Chicago Bears, Mike Ditka, George Halas, Lovie Smith, and Patty Driscoll. Halas, nicknamed Papa Bear, made the Bears an iconic organization and won 8 NFL championships. Driscoll's time with the Bears was brief, but he was respected and kept the team competitive in the 1950s. Ditka made the Bears into a very tough and competitive team, leading them to win Super Bowl 20 in dominating fashion. Smith built a dominant defensive culture in the 2000s and led the team to a Super Bowl 41 appearance. Cincinnati Bengals, Paul Brown, Zach Taylor, Forrest Gregg, and Sam Wyche. Brown brought strong innovations and applied his previous success to the team from his time in Cleveland. Gregg helped improve player performance with his disciplinary approach and led the team to Super Bowl 16. Wyche brought innovative offensive strategies to the team in 1980s and led the team to a Super Bowl 23 appearance. Taylor helped turn the Bengals into a steady playoff contender in the 2020s and led them to a Super Bowl 56 appearance. Cleveland Browns, Paul Brown, Kevin Stefanski, Blanton Collier, and Marty Schottenheimer. Brown created the Browns, and he made them into immediate winners in their AAFC days and in the 1950s with 3 NFL championships. Collier was a man all about perfection, and his coaching style led the team to the 1964 NFL Championship. Schottenheimer instilled some toughness and discipline into the team, making them playoff contenders in the 1980s. And Stefanski helped resurrect the Browns in the early 2020s and led them to their first playoff win since 1994. Dallas Cowboys, Tom Landry, Jimmy Johnson, Barry Switzer, and Wade Phillips. Landry brought innovative and forward-thinking strategies to the team from their inception, which led the Cowboys to 2 Super Bowl wins. Johnson transformed the team into a championship juggernaut, winning 2 Super Bowls for the franchise. Switzer brought strong leadership to the Cowboys and won the team their 3rd Super Bowl in 1995. Phillips built strong player relationships and implemented strong defensive schemes during his tenure. Denver Broncos, Red Miller, Dan Reeves, Mike Shanahan, and Gary Kubiak. Miller led the Broncos to their first Super Bowl appearance and established a strong winning tradition for the team. Reeves made the Broncos a playoff juggernaut and led the team to 3 Super Bowl appearances. Shanahan further emphasized the Broncos' winning ways and led the team to back-to-back Super Bowl wins. And Kubiak's time as the Broncos head coach was short, but he led the team to their 3rd Super Bowl championship. Detroit Lions, Dan Campbell, George Wilson, Buddy Parker, and Wayne Fontes. Parker brought tactical innovation to the Lions in the 1950s and led them to back-to-back NFL championships. Wilson further maintained strong Lions teams during his tenure and led the team to the 1957 NFL championship. Fontes' longevity in connecting with his players helped the Lions reach the 1991-92 NFC championship game. And Dan Campbell, well, he's resurrected the Lions and made them into a 2020s playoff juggernaut, and helped guide them to their first NFC championship game appearance since 1991. Green Bay Packers, Vince Lombardi, Mike Holmgren, Mike McCarthy, and Curly Lambeau. Lambeau was a visionary who made the Packers NFL champions in the 1930s. Lombardi's focus on emphasis, discipline, and teamwork made the Packers a dynasty in the 1960s. And heck, the Lombardi Trophy is named after him. Holmgren, well, he helped resurrect the Packers in the 1990s and led them to a Super Bowl 31 victory. McCarthy continued carrying the Packers' winning ways into the 2010s with a Super Bowl 45 victory to start the decade off. Houston Texans, Dom Capers, D'Amico Ryans, Gary Kubiak, and Bill O'Brien. Capers was the first coach the Texans hired and helped the team form a strong defensive identity. Kubiak brought a successful offensive system to the team and led them to back-to-back playoff appearances. Despite O'Brien's questionable decisions as general manager, he did make the Texans playoff contenders in the late 2010s. And Ryans brought strong defensive schemes to the Texans and led them to the playoffs in 2023 and 2024. Indianapolis Colts, Weeb Eubank, Don Shula, Tony Dungy, and Jim Caldwell. Eubank made the Colts championship contenders in the 1950s, leading the team to back-to-back NFL championships. Shula instilled discipline and a strong work ethic in the Colts in the 1960s and guided them to the 1968 NFL championship and Super Bowl III appearance. Dungy was a calm leader for the team and built a strong defense to win Super Bowl 41. And Caldwell, well, he experienced immediate success as a head coach and led the team to a Super Bowl 44 appearance. Jacksonville Jaguars, Tom Coughlin, Jack Del Rio, Doug Maroney, and Doug Peterson. Coughlin brought discipline and a hard work ethic to the Jaguars in their early years and led them to 2 AFC championship games. Del Rio made the Jaguars a strong defensive team, which got them to the playoffs twice. Maroney's time may have been short, but he coached the team to the 2018 AFC championship game. Peterson's time in Jacksonville was short, but he brought some life to the team in the early 2020s. Kansas City Chiefs, Hank Stram, Marty Schottenheimer, Dick Vermeil, and Andy Reid. Stram brought an innovative coaching style to the Chiefs in the 1960s, leading the team to win Super Bowl IV. Schottenheimer brought his Marty Ball philosophy to the team in the 1990s and made them playoff contenders. Vermeil brought his passion and hard work ethic to the team in the 2000s and got them to the playoffs in 2003. And Reid, well, he transformed the Chiefs from a playoff contender into a Super Bowl dynasty in the 2020s. Las Vegas Raiders, John Gruden, John Madden, Tom Flores, and Al Davis. Davis was not the first coach for the Raiders, but his mantra, "Just win, baby," started a movement when he became the team's owner. Madden turned the Raiders into a playoff juggernaut and coached the team to a Super Bowl 11 victory. Flores built trust with his athletes with his calm demeanor and coached the team to 2 Super Bowl wins. Gruden, also known as Chucky, brought ecstatic energy during his first stint with the Raiders and led them to the playoffs twice. Los Angeles Chargers, Sid Gilman, Bobby Ross, Marty Schottenheimer, and Norv Turner. Gilman brought an innovative passing game to the Bolts and led them to a 1963 AFL championship. Ross brought positive reinforcement to the team in the 1990s and led them to a Super Bowl 29 appearance. Schottenheimer turned the Bolts around in the 2000s with his Marty Ball philosophy and led them to a 14-2 record in 2006. Turner made excellent schematic adjustments in games and led the Chargers to the 2008 AFC championship game. Los Angeles Rams, Sean McVay, Dick Vermeil, Joe Stidehar, and Mike Martz. Stidehar found immediate success during his time with the team in the 1950s, capturing the 1951 NFL championship. Vermeil transformed the Rams into an offensive juggernaut and coached the team to a Super Bowl 34 victory. Martz continued coaching the greatest show on turf offense in the 2000s and led them to a Super Bowl 36 appearance. And McVay's innovative offense and leadership resurrected the Rams and guided them to a Super Bowl 56 win. Miami Dolphins, Don Shula, Jimmy Johnson, Dave Wannstedt, and Tony Sperano. Shula's incredible discipline and maximizing talent earned the team back-to-back Super Bowl wins in the 1970s, including the league's only undefeated season. Johnson's ability to motivate players established a winning culture for the team in the late 1990s. Wannstedt was able to help the Dolphins transition away from Dan Marino and led them to the playoffs twice. Sperano's time in Miami was short, but he led the team to a division win in 2008. Minnesota Vikings, Bud Grant, Dennis Green, Brad Childress, and Kevin O'Connell. Grant built very rugged teams, including the Purple people eaters and guided the Vikings to 4 Super Bowl appearances. Green developed incredible talent during his time coaching the team and led them to 2 NFC Championship games. Childress led the team to back-to-back division wins and a 2010 NFC Championship game appearance. O'Connell's offensive mindset and working with many quarterbacks helped the Vikings become a playoff contender in the 2020s. New England Patriots, Bill Belichick, Mike Holovac, Raymond Berry, and Bill Parcells. Holovac's calming demeanor guided the Patriots to their first AFL Championship game appearance in 1963. Berry immediately earned the respect of the players and coached the team to their first Super Bowl appearance. Parcells transformed the Pats into winners in the 1990s and led them to a Super Bowl 31 appearance. And, really, what else can we say about Belichick? He transformed the Patriots into a super dynasty in the 2000s and gave us Tom Brady. Or maybe Tom Brady gave us Bill Belichick. New Orleans Saints, Jim Mora, Jim Haslett, Sean Payton, and Dick Nolan. Although Nolan's time with the Saints was short, he led the team to its first winning record in 1979. Mora transformed the Saints from losers to playoff contenders in the 1980s and early 90s. Haslett transformed the team's mentality and led them to the playoffs in the 2000s. And Payton truly transformed the Saints into winners, coaching them to win Super Bowl 44. New York Giants, Bill Parcells, Tom Coughlin, Jim Fassel, and Steve Owen. Owen's emphasis on the fundamentals of blocking and tackling led the team to win 2 NFL championships in the 1930s. Parcells' ability to motivate players helped the team capture 2 Super Bowls in the 1980s. Fassel installed a winning culture in the G-men in the late 1990s to early 2000s, and even led them to a Super Bowl 35 appearance. Coughlin brought strict discipline and attention to detail during his tenure, resulting in 2 Super Bowl victories. New York Jets, Weeb Ewbank, Herm Edwards, Rex Ryan, and Bill Parcells. Ewbank brought an innovative offense to the Jets in the 1960s, leading them to win Super Bowl III. Parcells built a winning culture for the Jets in the 1990s thanks to his discipline and motivation. Edwards' innovation and defensive mind made the Jets competitive in the early 2000s. And Ryan built top-tier defenses and coached the Jets to back-to-back AFC Championship game appearances. Philadelphia Eagles, Andy Reid, Nick Sirianni, Doug Peterson, and Dick Vermeil. Vermeil transformed the Eagles from losers to winners and led them to a Super Bowl 15 appearance. Reid brought strong leadership and competitiveness to the team, making them into playoff contenders in the 2000s and leading them to a Super Bowl 39 appearance. Peterson had a real ability to connect with his players, leading the team to its first Super Bowl victory. And Sirianni has built a strong winning culture for the Eagles, resulting in a Super Bowl 59 victory. Pittsburgh Steelers, Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, and Jock Sutherland. Sutherland brought discipline and great offensive schemes to the teams in the 1940s, earning them a playoff appearance in 1947. Noll truly transformed the Steelers into winners and made them a Super Bowl dynasty in the 1970s. Cowher's intense leadership and defensive mindset made the Steelers playoff contenders in the 1990s and led them to win Super Bowl 40. Tomlin has been able to coach the Steelers to consistent winning seasons, and his strong leadership led the team to win Super Bowl 43. San Francisco 49ers, Bill Walsh, George Seifert, Jim Harbaugh, and Kyle Shanahan. Walsh's West Coast offense, along with his mentorship, made the 49ers a Super Bowl dynasty in the 1980s. Seifert maintained the success of Walsh and kept the 49ers as playoff contenders in the 1990s, including winning Super Bowl 29. Harbaugh resurrected the 49ers in the 2010s and coached them to a Super Bowl 47 appearance. And Shanahan's offensive mind and play calling made the 49ers playoff contenders in the 2020s. Seattle Seahawks, Pete Carroll, Mike Holmgren, Chuck Knox, and Jack Patera. Patera's success came from his offensive mindset and building the Seahawks from scratch from their inception. Knox found immediate success turning the team into playoff contenders thanks to his hard-nosed approach on offense. Holmgren transformed the struggling Seahawks into winners and coached them to their first Super Bowl appearance. And Pete Carroll established a positive culture with the team and coached them to a very dominant Super Bowl 48 victory. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Bruce Arians, John Gruden, Tony Dungy, and John McKay. McKay built a competitive team from scratch and led the Bucs to the playoffs 3 times, including a trip to the 1980 NFC Championship game. Dungy's calm demeanor transformed the Bucs into winners in the 1990s and made them dominant on defense. Gruden saw immediate success with the Bucs with his offensive mindset, coaching them to dominate in Super Bowl 37. Arians' time with the Bucs may have been short, but he and Tom Brady made the Bucs into winners and guided them to a Super Bowl 55 victory. Tennessee Titans, Jeff Fisher, Bum Phillips, Mike Vrabel, and Jack Pardee. Phillips' defensive strategies and mindset made the Oilers serious playoff contenders in the 1970s. Pardee's offensive innovations with the run-and-shoot offense made the team playoff contenders in the early 1990s. Fisher built a winning culture for the team even after they moved to Tennessee in the late 1990s. Falcons. Not to mention coaching the team to their first Super Bowl appearance. And Vrabel? Well, he resurrected the Titans in the late 2010s with his defensive mindset, coaching them to a 2020 AFC Championship game appearance. Washington Commanders, Joe Gibbs, George Allen, Vince Lombardi, and Dan Quinn. Lombardi's time in Washington was short, but he transformed that team into winners before his tragic passing. Allen further transformed Washington into winners with his win-now mentality and led them to their first Super Bowl appearance. Gibbs brought impressive offensive innovations and excellent game planning to Washington, guiding them to 3 Super Bowl victories. Quinn's time with the Commanders may have just started, but he's already transformed the culture of that team for the better, guiding them to their first NFC Championship game appearance since 1992. But who do you think would be on your favorite team's Mount Rushmore of head coaches? Do you agree with our choices? What would you change? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then clicking the like button helps out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.